Hey everybody, welcome back. James here again with you, and this is part 2 of what happened after I used a brass bore brush on my air rifle. Now this is my Crosman Fury nitro piston 22 caliber. I was using the H&N Field Target Trophy today, 5.55 head size. This gun actually has a 5.51 head size, or groove diameter, I should say. And if you've been following along, part 1 of this video was me telling you that I cleaned my gauntlet and reshot with the 14.35 JSB, and at 23 yards the group was just phenomenal. I mean, 5 shots and 6 millimeters outside group, which was FX's factory test at 20.5 meters or 23 yards. So I wanted to do that with this gun to see if it was possible. Kind of follow up on SG's video of his brake barrel. He shot at 30 yards, but I wanted to see if this gun was capable of falling within FX's standard test of an outside group from 5.5 millimeters to 7.5 millimeters at 20.5 meters or 23 yards. So that's what I did today, and I did some other testing too, because like I said, if you've been following along, you've seen that I did some testing with pellets lubed and all that stuff to see if it really made a big difference, because of the pellets being pushed over 750 feet per second, specifically the harder pellets like H&N or Crosman. Well, to start off, this gun is untuned, no tuning to the barrel, none of that stuff. Factory, pretty much how you get it besides the trigger. It's just how the gun came to me. Again, like I said, shot at 20.5 meters with this gun, and I did some testing here. Let me show you. So all these previous shots were me experimenting with this gun with those pellets. And what I did was I tried, well, first off I cleaned the barrel, and then I started the shooting session. And like I said, part 1 I showed how I did that, and the barrel was clean, shiny, and then I started shooting today, and this right here was from experimenting with these pellets lubed, because I wanted to see what the clean barrel, if it was going to change anything, what actually happens, all this and that. And come to find out, this gun does not shoot these pellets over 750, which I knew that, but I just wanted to see if it made a difference. It shoots them about 730, 740, and actually 14.66 grain. And it actually shoots the same velocity as a Crosman 14.3 Dome. So, I mean, that's a big difference. Pellet being more in weight and shooting the same as a lesser grain pellet. But anyways, so that was just me experimenting, and now I want to show you something that's crazy. So with the pellets unlubed and barrel was cleaned, because this barrel did not let up, I'm going to show you guys something here. So I couldn't believe it. That's why I actually had to cut the backing board out. This is the backing. So during my shooting session, what happened was I was using my bags and lubed, the point of impact changed. It actually lowered the point of impact from the point of aim. And when I started shooting the pellets unlubed, because like I said, I knew these pellets were under 750 feet per second, and that's the claim that it starts to mess with the barrel. And so here's the group here, 5 shots, and I couldn't believe it, so I had to keep shooting, because my point of aim was here, and it raised the point of impact up here. And come to find out, 5 shots, you'll see a clip here in a second of me shooting, but there's previous shots already here because I couldn't see exactly where my pellets were landing. I mean, it was getting dark outside, and I figured out that this gun, or the way that I would shoot this gun if I was going to take it hunting, would be to actually hold it like this. You know, no artillery hold, actually grab the gun and hold it like that. And the sweet spot, like SG said, if you know how to find that, mine is like right in here. And that's exactly where the piston almost hits the tube. So that dampers the vibration while I was holding the gun like that. And that's how I pulled this shot group off, which is shy of 7.5 millimeters. So this gun actually fell, $100 brake barrel actually fell into the FX's standard test, and that is nuts. Like I said, these 3 shots up here are in the same hole, and then I couldn't believe it because I couldn't see with the scope. Started getting dark, the clarity of the scope started getting fuzzy, and I shot again just to make sure, and that's where this one landed. So the last shot landed here. I could not believe it. That's just insane. So again, just following up, this gun, like I said, cleaned the barrel, and it got acclimated to those pellets from a cleaned bore, and it just tightened up phenomenally without lube. I mean, that's just that's insane. Like I said, I mean, I couldn't see that they were going in the same hole, so I actually aimed and it landed there. I guess it's a good or bad thing, or a good thing, I guess, if you can't tell if your pellets are going in the same exact hole, which I'll show you guys that in a second. But like I said, that is just nuts. And you know, a dime, even with me holding a gun like that, a dime at 23 yards can cover that group, even though I caused that shot. That is just mind-blowing. I'm sure it is to some people too, that if you know your gun and you know, figured out what it likes and what it doesn't, specifically the right pellets being shot through a brake barrel, you can work wonders with it. And I already proved that in my golf ball challenge video with this gun on the main channel. It's just, this gun is amazing, and this is untuned. I mean, this is like out of the box the way you get it, except the trigger. This is a GTR3 Charlie to tuna trigger. So, like I said, that's just the way the gun came. But the barrel alone, with those pellets being cleaned like that out of the gate, no lube, that's just mind-blowing. And like I said, I couldn't see. So, good or bad thing that the pellets were going in the same hole and I couldn't see it. But I just wanted to show that because, you know, if the stars align, you know, your gun's going to show. And, you know, just like I said, this is kind of like a follow-up to SG's brake barrel video that he just put out. Just to show that, I mean, it's not his gun only, it's, you know, other people's guns too are capable of that, to shoot insane groups. If you know the gun, if you know what you're doing and get the gun down and find the right ammo. You know, and I think the reason why, just to show you or tell you guys the reason why this was happening down here, not very accurate by the way, the reason why all that was happening was because if you know your timing, and this is a real key detail in the brake barrel, the timing in a nitro piston gun like this, or a gas spring, Crossman claims are 55% faster than a traditional coil spring power plant. So what does that mean? Well, that means that that piston is going extremely fast, and you have to find the right pellet that will sustain the nitro piston. And what I mean by that is this piston is traveling all the way down here, from up here cocked all the way down when it's fired. Well, Tom Gaylord, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you know who that is, claims that the pellet starts moving when the piston stops, or the actual piston. So, you know, you have your piston, and then you have your power plant behind it that pushes the piston. Well, in this gun, I don't think that's what the case is. I think that the pellet starts moving when the piston is fired. So you have to find the pellet that actually puts an actual, like a, I don't know what you call it, like a timing between the piston and the pellet. Because if you shoot a pellet that's too light, that piston will just go straight forward and then the pellet starts moving. But if you find a pellet that actually fits the bore and causes a little bit of friction, it'll put a, timing between the piston and the pellet to where the pellet will exit the barrel before the second recoil. So you have an initial recoil from pulling the trigger, then your second recoil hitting the end of the piston chamber. So it's just a quick jolt. And so if your timing is off, the pellets will still be in the barrel when the piston hits the second recoil, hitting the gun. So it's going to jolt real quick. But if you're shooting the right pellets, the pellet will be out of the barrel before the second recoil. So what it comes down to is timing. And like I said, with the lube, that was causing the pellet to actually start moving and not cause enough friction between the pellet and the piston, making the piston go faster than the pellet, if that makes any sense. Because, like I said, all over the place, and that doesn't just happen like that. There's a reason. So, like I said, I just wanted to follow up with you guys, and just had to show, I had to cut the backing out, which this isn't a fresh backing board behind this target, but you can see, let me line it up perfectly here. I mean, you can see that's just an insane tight group. I think I measured it out and it was like 7.3 something, or yeah, 7.37 millimeters. So inches across, center to center is less than 1/8 of an inch, it looks like. That is just nuts. And then height-wise, center to center is 1/4 inch. So, I mean, 7.37 millimeters, which is under 7.5 millimeters at 23 yards. This gun and these pellets, untuned, is just shooting phenomenally. And I took a picture of the barrel or the bore before and after, and there was no difference, no leading. So that just tells me that these pellets aren't going 750 feet per second. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and include the clip, and I appreciate you guys watching. And, if you have a brake barrel like this and you have it chronograph, make sure you test that, because that'll give you a good determination of whether or not you need to lube your pellets. And like I said, it did not like the pellets lubed, so 5.55 head size, pulled that off. 1466 grain out of a Crossman nitro piston. So anyways, guys, appreciate you watching. Thanks as always.